You need to figure out and write down your detailed why. Like, why do you wake up every day and why do you do what you do? What is that going to bring you, or what is it that you hope it will bring you? And for me, it's all focused on family. It's being able to get to a place where I don't have to be aware of whether or not I'm being present, because I'm fully present all the time.
Welcome to the Level Up Podcast. Our goal is that by listening to our podcast, you will be inspired to level up. With the help of some amazing guests, we'll be inspired by some inspirational success stories and find out how you can level up your business, your life, and your relationship with yourself. Because I know that by leveling up and balancing these three aspects of your life, you can make a difference and impact the lives around you. Level Up Podcast will be a series of interviews featuring successful professionals who are making a mark and a difference in their lives and others. They will share their incredible stories of how they did it, so you can be inspired and learn from the very best.
Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time. We're excited to have you on our podcast, Level Up, today, and we're gonna go ahead and get to know you a little better. Just get to talk to you. It's gonna be very, very simple. We love to just keep it very casual in terms of getting to know you a little better, inspire others. I was reading about you and empowering others and all of that. That's all this is all about. We want to share your
Okay.
story. We want to get to know you a little bit, and just hopefully by listening to your story, people get inspired. And I always feel like when we see somebody doing something, then we can see ourselves doing it as well. So I've been in
Right.
the music industry for 15 years, and I'm sure you have been in the industry for a while as well. And you see what it's all about, helping and guiding people through the process of what it's like to become a homeowner, invest, and
Yes.
start going into the process. So first and foremost, thank you again for taking the time, and thank you for being available to meet with us today. We're excited to have you on, and we'll start up just by getting to know who you are. You already said a little bit about being from California and now living in Florida. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. First off, thank you so much for just inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share a little bit. I'm all about coaching and inspiring others, and I think that's something that doesn't have a lot of focus on, but there's definitely a ton of value in in things like this. So. As I mentioned, originally from Los Angeles, California, born and raised. Most of my family still lives out there. I ended up in Tampa, Florida, simply because in 2004 I was working for Countrywide Home Loans, the largest mortgage company in the country at that time. And if you were in real estate, you remember, the 2004 to 2008 was just what I call the wild, wild west of real estate.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we were busy, and the company had decided to open up an operation center to service anything east of the Mississippi River so they could be a little more efficient. And I was selected as someone from California to fly out for a few months and train the new staff, get the department set up. And on my last trip, as I'm getting ready to go home and kind of let them run their show, the people in charge pulled me aside and said, "Hey, would you ever consider moving out to Tampa, Florida, and just running the department for us?" And at the time, I was still living at home. As you know, with LA prices, even back
Yes.
in 2004, it was just, it was difficult for me to foresee how I was going to ever be able to live on my own and not with 4 or 5 other roommates in a house. So I picked up an apartment magazine. I saw that I could get a 1 bedroom apartment in a nice area at the time for under 600 a month, which was just
Wow.
unheard of. Um, so I thought, okay, well, let me prepared to break my mother's heart and tell her that I'm going to be moving 3,000 miles away
Away.
and starting my life in Florida. And it's been wonderful. The career has led me to some amazing places. But most importantly, I met my wife. We have our children. We have our family. And
That
yeah,
is amazing.
I've not really ever looked back.
That
Sometimes
is
in the summer because it's so hot, I'll look back but we try to plan our trips to visit my family in the summer so we can enjoy that California weather.
California weather, right? Everybody talks about the
Yeah.
California weather. That is awesome, Glenn. So you originally from here decided to go out on originally temporary and ended up staying there. That's awesome.
Yes.
And obviously, so you started in the mortgage industry as your first job, or how do you ended up in the mortgage industry with Countrywide back then?
While still in high school, I was working in a retail store. It was a computer store, CompUSA.
Okay.
I don't think they're
And
around
I
anymore.
don't think
But
they're around anymore, but yeah, I remember them.
yeah, I was working, your typical high school after school job.
Mhm.
And once everyone graduated, I went to the local community college. And one day I woke up and I thought, maybe it's time to get, a real adult job. Start to move towards that direction. And I thought, well, don't adults work in offices and cubicles? So I reached out to a couple temp agencies, took some tests, and they said, oh, you'd be perfect for this mortgage company that's hiring data entry technicians, was the official title. But what I came to find on my first day is I'm really a mailroom technician, because the department I worked in received thousands of packages, and these packages were filled with loan files. And then my job, along with 50 other of my coworkers, would be to open the package, look up the information for the borrowers, and then put a barcode on it, and then kind of send it on its way. And depending on that, what the barcode said, it would guide where that file needs to go next, whether it was underwriting or maybe the warehouse department. So
Mm. That is
those are
interesting.
that's my humble beginning.
That is so interesting. Everybody starts in a different place, right? But that is so interesting. You start in the mailroom, just looking through files. And how did that transition into you becoming, again, a mortgage originator? And obviously, at that point, being in charge of a department, opening up the new market that you went to do in Florida. How did that came about? Tell us.
Yeah. So when I had the opportunity to come out to Florida, I was working as a senior technician in the mailroom.
Oh, you're still.
And
Okay.
so I was selected to come out. We set everything up. And then, given that opportunity, I took it and picked everything up and moved to Florida to run the mailroom department here in the Tampa office.
Mhm.
Uh, did that for a couple years, and then in 2007, I think I just hit a plateau. I thought, there's got to be more to this than just managing a few people, receiving in packages. I wanted more.
Okay.
And so I talked to a few friends. My mom's a retired realtor in
Oh,
California, so
really?
I spoke with her, and everyone kind of said the same thing. It seems like you're really good with people. You love helping people. Have you ever thought about, doing sales with mortgages? And I thought, I don't know if I don't know if that's something I really ever planned on doing, but it sounded good, and it sounded like people were making a good
Good
income
morning.
originating loans back then.
Yeah.
And so I made the jump. I left Countrywide. I joined a company where I was a wholesale account executive working with the local brokers. I
Awesome.
absolutely loved it. I felt like this was
Good.
what I was meant to do, like helping people, being in the front line, just working very closely with other mortgage brokers to help them grow their business as effectively as possible. Unfortunately, my timing was terrible because I made that switch in 2007. And then by the end of 2007, that company, along with pretty much
Many
all the
others.
other, yeah, many other mortgage companies went under. So it became really difficult to find another position that did the same thing. I ended up getting a recruiter call from ADT Security, the home
Oh,
security
wow.
company,
Okay.
and I thought, well, I I like sales, I like helping people, so let's take this as an opportunity to learn and to hone in the skill of sales, get
Yeah.
better at it.
Mhm.
So I did that for a couple years, and then things changed. The market started kind of shifting back. So in 2012, I made the decision to go back into banking.
Mhm.
And so I started with Bank of America, who at the time had just acquired Countrywide.
Yes.
So I knew all the people that were in charge. They were familiar with me, and they were familiar with my work ethic. So they found me a position just to kind of come in and handle some accounts. I did that, and then I wanted to get back into sales. So then I moved within Bank of America to a small business telephone sales position.
Okay.
Um, that gave me a lot of skills, but it was also pretty hectic working in a call center environment. But the value from that experience
Learning.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, it was huge. And in 2015, that was the year of change, is what I call it for me, because uh, I decided to leave Bank of America at a time where things were relatively cushy. You know, I had my paycheck every week. I had great benefits, part of a bonus program. So things were comfortable, but I, it
You
was
know.
just, we had so much change. 2015, I got married.
Oh,
I left
wow.
my job for a commission only. We
Mhm.
had our first child in December of 2015, and then we bought our first house.
Wow.
So it was like, let's just get all the changes out of the way in 1 year. Um, so I spoke with some good friends, and a friend of mine who's a local agent here in Tampa introduced me to her mortgage broker. We hit it off. He was willing to mentor me. It was, at the time, it was really his startup company, because the first year I worked there, we literally worked out of his home office.
Wow.
Um, so
It's beautiful. A lot of times, that's where the opportunities that I always look back and I'm like, that was an amazing, way to start. You get to see it from the beginning. So that was awesome.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it's just pretty much grown from there, and I've made some shifts in different companies for different reasons, but
Mhm.
I still keep my relationships with the local realtors. Social media has been a big thing over the last couple years with regard to bringing opportunities and
I was gonna go there in a minute. So you're touching now into the
yeah.
social media. It looks like you've done so much, and obviously not only for yourself but helping others. You were saying on the bio that I received, and it's amazing because again, social media nowadays is the way to do things, and you had a head start, and you were able to not only do it for yourself but helping others. That's amazing. What got you into it? How did that came about?
It's another funny story. My wife actually works in social media.
Oh, really?
She's
Okay.
with a company that locally promotes and markets different wedding vendors.
Oh,
So she's always had the social media mind and creativity. And when TikTok first came out, she was like, "You need to get on TikTok. This is going to be huge." And I followed her instructions. I downloaded it. I tried to use it, and ultimately, I gave up. And I felt like, I guess I'm just too old. Like, I'm that old person now that doesn't get how TikTok works. It wasn't until 2020 when my daughter brought COVID home and I got COVID from her, that we were quarantined in the bedroom, and I'm trying to do work, but it was slow because I'm at home. So then I just thought, well, let me pass some time. Let me give this TikTok
Yeah,
another try. And I started searching other mortgage people, and that's when it clicked. I thought, whoa, this is huge. The opportunity to reach an audience that's not just people that maybe I know or at some point started following me. Like, if there's
Mhm.
good content, TikTok will just put it out to the people the algorithm thinks wants this
Once
information.
you think
So
about it.
I started with making these silly comedy videos
Okay.
about like the mortgage industry and real estate in general, but I started seeing a lot more engagement with the educational stuff.
Mm.
So then I just decided to pour all my efforts into doing the educational side, and I quickly learned that as the professionals, you're doing these things day in and out, so it doesn't seem like it's something that most people don't know. But as I started talking to more and more people, I started getting feedback as well, asking them, what are some questions that you get,
Mhm.
and I would, even when I'm talking to my clients, I would just write down the questions that they would ask, even though to me it was second nature, and
Right, and
just
that's where I
answer
was.
it.
Mhm.
um, but that's how I started getting content ideas. Oh, okay. I learned that, okay, a lot of people don't realize how important the credit score is,
Right.
and what goes into a credit score, things like that. So I started building content around that, and yeah, things just exploded.
That is awesome. So now, again, now you're doing, still doing mortgages, right? You're still in the mortgage and
I'm still in the mortgage
originating.
industry. Yep.
You're still originating loans. You're still helping people. You're
Yep.
still in the trenches generating and originating loans. What do you see nowadays different from when, again, when you started back in 2015, when you said you fully went into the really into the mortgage business? Have you seen any difference that you, again, looking back, is there anything you could have done differently?
um I would say during that um, during that journey from 2015 to now, um, I would say, what, in 2018, I believe, I made the decision to invest in coaching. So I joined a program called the Core, which is like coaching specific to mortgage and real estate professionals. And so I started investing in myself, essentially, to learn how to build a business, how to really grow this. And I think my biggest look back would be, why didn't
Why
I
didn't it go
get
sooner?
involved in this as soon as I got licensed?
Yeah.
Because it would have eliminated that 2 to 3 year learning curve of just how do I even how do I even get my first loan,
Yes.
and
And you
how do
know,
I keep it going?
yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up because it seems like in our business, a lot of times, again, people invest in universities and they go through the process of getting that education. But a lot of times we get in our businesses like mortgage or real estate, and people don't see the value of investing in themselves and that coaching and getting themselves prepared. Core is an
Yeah.
amazing company. I actually participated in it for a while. Then I went into Todd Duncan as well. Um,
Okay.
Interesting. It just, and I was going to ask you, what are the three most influential people that have made an impact in your career? And again, obviously, one of them is going to be your coach. And anybody else that you have that you look back and these are the people that made me, again, made a difference in my career?
Definitely the coaches. I'm a big motivational speaking, like, fan, I guess I'll call it. I've followed and listened to Tony Robbins
Me
for
too.
as long as I can remember. So um, that was huge. Zig Ziglar, even Eric Thomas. I mean, motivational speakers back then, before COVID, there was a lot more driving with going to appointments, meeting with potential real estate partners for lunch or for coffee. So during my drive time, I would always listen to the audiobooks or I would listen to a podcast.
Right.
And I would say those times were so incredibly important to me because it really opened my eyes and also opened my mind to just a completely different type of mindset. And that shift in the mindset has made all the difference with just continued success and the drive to want to be better every day.
Water, yeah. And it's so funny because you and I share the same. Tony Robbins was huge for me. I remember going to that. I don't know if you did the firewalk ever.
Yeah.
Have you ever attended those events?
No, it's on my
Okay,
list. I want to
it
go.
was huge for me because I've always saw it, and I'm like one day, and I remember going right before COVID. It was 2019. I got to go and do it in LA, and it's just again, it's just one of those things that changes, like you said, things that you do during
Yeah.
your lifetime that just make a change. I think that for me was a huge breakthrough. And just limited beliefs that we have a lot of times, like how are you going to walk on fire? And you see it if people talk about it, and
Yep.
like it's not easy, but then once you're there and you see other people doing it, it becomes why not? Why not me? I can do it too.
Yep.
And again, it's amazing that you and I share the same idea of improving, always working on yourself. There's always another level that you can get to. There's always something else that you can learn. And I truly believe that there's never going to be the point where you know it all. There's always something that you can learn, whether it's in
Yes.
the business, again, in the coaching business. There's so much to learn every single day. There's always another level of ourselves that we can get to if we're willing to do
Yes.
the work. If we're willing to do the work. What about books? Is there any books that you've read that help you stay on track? I love books too, so I don't know about
I'm
you.
I'm a big Rob Kiyosaki fan, so Rich Dad
Okay.
Poor Dad is a
Oh,
book
okay.
that kind of is on continuous rerun for
Okay.
me. I have the book, I have the audio book as well, and sometimes I'll do both at the same time.
Okay.
Um, let's see, I got my Rich Dad Poor Dad. Think and Grow Rich
Oh
is
my
a great
goodness,
one.
one of my favorites.
Um, Currently I'm reading a book called Go for No,
Oh.
and that's a mind shift type of book as well. Because now, as you know, with the market being more challenging, that there's a lot more prospecting work that goes into play with meeting new agents,
Mhm.
meeting with maybe seasoned agents that I've never worked with before. And Go for No kind of flips that mindset of, oh, I called this agent and they told me no, I don't want to meet with you, I've got my favorite people.
And
But it switches
Berlinger.
that mindset from getting hurt by the no, but looking at the no as, okay, so normally with my ratios, I have to call 8 agents and speak to 8 of them for one of them to actually agree to meet with me. So with that information, now it's like, okay, oh, you say no, perfect, so that's
Right.
one. And then, oh, next person said no, great. And
Oh my
then,
goodness.
yeah,
I love
so it,
it.
it
I'm gonna,
drives that motivation to just keep going and not feel
I'm
down
gonna,
that
I'm gonna have to
someone
read,
doesn't
I'm
want to
gonna
meet
have
with
to read
me.
that, Glen. I haven't read that book, so I need to read that one. That sounds exciting. Where you're like, I gotta know. All right, I need to get the next no.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Think and Grow Rich, I think, is one of the books one of my mentors shared with me, and I've been doing it for the last 5 years. Read it every year at the beginning of the year. It just
Okay.
sets you up and it's amazing. Like I just feel every time I started my January, I'm like, okay, I need to read my Think and Grow Rich again. And it just gets you a new, I don't know, like a new pump. Okay, this is what I need to do again this year. And it's funny how, I don't know if it happens to you, but when you read a book for the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth time, there's always something you'll pick up.
Oh yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always feel like, when you're ready, what do they said? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Same
Yep.
with the book. As you read the book, there will be something that'll pop out that you're ready now to either implement or just digest better because you're at a different stage of your business, on your life. And I love that's something I've been doing for the last 5 years, reading it at the beginning of the year, every year.
Okay.
Pass it on
I'll
to
have
you.
to do that. And then
Yes.
another current book. I don't know if you've read this,
Oh,
but
yes. The
it's
Millionaire Mind.
yeah, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. My mentor suggested that, and a lot of the concepts are
I always
similar.
remember with the book of the tapping.
What's that?
I said, I always think of the book and I think of tapping on your.
Oh,
If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about, like
yeah,
tapping.
yeah. But
Love
from experiencing all that and reading all these different books from different authors, it's like the concepts are all the same, but I just love how each is presented just a little differently, so that maybe I didn't fully understand the manifestation side, and how powerful picturing things in your head and attaching an emotion or a feeling to it was. But when I read another book, it clicks and it makes sense why just picturing it in your head isn't going to be enough, because we all daydream. But it's really just engulfing yourself in, what would that vision make you feel?
make you feel. And it's funny, you just said it, the feeling and, just connecting those two. You
Yes.
visualize it and you feel it and it manifests and somehow it just comes,
Yep.
in different ways. But that's amazing. Tell me a little bit about what are the one thing that you're the proudest of? Share with us. What is the one thing that you've done? You're like, this has made me so proud. I did this and I didn't think I could do it, but I did it and this was the result.
um I mean, the thing that does come to mind, it's a sad start of the story, but it would be a good ending.
Right?
In 2021, we lost our son. He was 5,
Oh,
and he was spending the weekend with family, so we weren't there, and there was a pool party, and next thing we know, there was a tragic accident. Um, I think for anybody, that's just the most devastating news. It's the most devastating situation to have to deal with in life.
mhm,
And I think just through therapy, prayers, what I'm really proud of is one of the foundations that reached out to us shortly after that incident. Really helped us out, gave us resources, gave us some guidance on how we can get through this. And turns out the foundation, what their main goal is to raise money so that they can provide scholarships to local kids here in
mhm,
Tampa to learn water surviving skills. So different from your traditional swim lessons, which my son went to swim lessons, so it's still kind of like, well, he kind of knew how to swim, so what happened? But
mhm,
we learned about that. Both my daughters now have completed it and gone through it. But I've in December, or actually most of last year, I was volunteering a lot for the charity, and
mhm,
then in December they asked me to join the board of directors, and I've been just it's been filling my cup,
mhm,
being able to take something that was so devastating and use it as fuel to really
mhm,
help prevent this from happening to other people. And I definitely am a spiritual person, so I feel my son all the time, and I know this is exactly what he would want me to be doing,
mhm,
and not be sitting at home depressed and just unable to do anything. So
That was
that would
amazing.
probably be the most
Thank you for
proudest thing at
opening
the moment.
this story with us. That really touched me. I'm like, oh my God, this is like you said, very it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's amazing that you're making a difference and you're very involved. And again, doing it from that perspective is amazing. You're making a difference in other people's lives and just getting them to be aware of how can they prevent this. That's an awesome feeling. So you're definitely making
Yes.
a difference, and I'm sure your son is with you all the time and seeing what you're
Yeah.
doing with it. So thank you for sharing that part of your story. Is there any regrets in terms of the business, things that you could have done better that you, again, looking back now, said, I could have done this differently now, knowing what I know today?
Oh gosh. I would
I
say
love it. Like, oh gosh,
I
yes,
wish
so many things we could have done
from
better.
the very beginning I did a better job of take like keeping track of my clients and then having a system to kind of nurture that relationship, because I think the first few years was just, it felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants. And it's like, oh, I got a loan. Let's get them pre approved. All right, now it's in processing. Let's get what we need. And then it's like you finish the transaction and you just want to sit down and give yourself like a 5 minute break before you start working towards the next one.
The
But
next one,
um,
right?
I wish I had tracked things a little better and had systems in place that I have now to nurture the relationships. Even a simple, hey, happy birthday, we're thinking about you, and
Mhm.
that would make a world of difference if I had done
Well,
that from the beginning.
and that could be the advice to a new loan officer. So what would you tell them today? Somebody coming into the business and said, "Hey, Glenn, I'm starting. I'd love to get into this career." What would be the first advice? Obviously, CRM, customer service, retention
CRM.
would be amazing tool to start off with, and you just cover it, which is interesting because I did the same thing. I started, like you said, we just go through the motions, but we don't have a system in place. And not
Yeah.
until you realize that this is so important in our business that we start implementing them. And again, I think it comes with coaching as well, because I remember Core is very systematic. They're very onto,
Yes.
even the calls you need to make on Monday and on Tuesday updates and
Yep.
this and that. It's amazing, like when you put a system in place, things will flow a lot better in your business. Don't you
Yes.
agree?
Yes. 100%. And I would say, yeah, the advice would be get a CRM and start looking at the clients that you serve and end up helping as your future best referral partners, because when you do a good job for them, at the closing table, as you know, not all transactions are going to be super smooth, but none of that matters when they're at the closing table, they're signing the documents, and they get the key, whether it's their first home or their last home. It's just a moment where everybody is happy, and some of us are
Mhm.
relieved. Um,
Yes.
but I never looked at that as, wow, my past clients that loved working with me would be my best referral partners. I thought it was always, you got to get with the realtors because they get people contacting them to buy a home all the time. But it's amazing the power of a referral, especially if it's a family or
All
close friend
clients.
of that client. It's like, I'm not worried about someone saying, "Hey, I'm shopping for the best rate," because they were referred by their mother or their
Mhm.
aunt, who they trust explicitly. So when she said, "You use
You
Glenn for your
go for your
mortgage,"
thing. There
it's
is
like, okay,
nobody else
whatever
can do a better
whatever
job than
Glenn
Glenn.
wants, I'll provide it to him.
And that's beautiful because it is so true. I think, and it's for me, 80% of your referral business, if it comes from your past clients, they're not going to be shopping you. Because again, like you said, Auntie said go with Glenn, they're going to do whatever Glenn says, they're going to follow you. Rather than, again, somebody off the internet or someone from, Facebook ad where they don't know who you are. So definitely, I think
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
great foundation for all of our, even for realtors, have a system is in place where they can keep in touch with their past clients
Yes.
and nurture the
Yes.
relationship. And I always feel like in our business, and even with realtors, for me, I will speak for myself. It's a relationship first and business second. Because if you're able to
Yes.
connect with that person, you know the trust is going to be built, and you know there's going to be that foundation that business will just automatically flow. And a lot of times we're so busy cutting up the next deal that we forget to nurture that relationship. So definitely, again,
Yeah.
realtors and loan officers, remember to nurture that relationship. It'll go a long ways, and it'll help you in your business tremendously. And I know now because of the coaching, but I'm going to have to ask you, what is your perfect day looks like? And I'm sure you have a very structured day, but tell us what that looks like for Glenn.
Perfect Day has a lunch meeting already pre-scheduled and confirmed. Has a Starbucks meeting with either an agent or a potential client, and I've got dial time from 10 to 12. So I'll have the coffee at 9:30 in the morning. Start off the day with just what usually will feel like a win because I've gone out, and it's funny how meeting face to face with people, you really you leave with a certain energy that, like, hey, not only did I do something today, but like that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed the time I spent with this person. So what better time than to take that energy and hit the phones, call agents. One piece of advice that I'll give loan officers is, when you do have a contract that you're working on, always contact the listing agent. Call the listing agent right when you get the contract. Tell them congratulations. I'm the mortgage broker that's going to be helping the buyers with their financing. Give them a little heads up. We anticipate everything's going to be fine. We'll reach out to schedule the appraisal.
Right.
I would say 9 times out of 10, making that call, the response is always, "Wait, you're the mortgage broker, and you're calling me? I'm the listing agent." Like, yeah, I think it's important that everybody, title company, listing agent, buyer's agent, the buyers, I think it's important that we're all on the same page and everybody kind of knows where we are in the process, and all the expectations are set. So, as you know, part of the core says, once a week, you need to be contacting these individuals to provide them with the status update, even if
And that,
there's nothing to update.
right.
It's clocking that FaceTime or that talk time with an agent. And I can't tell you how many times at the end of the transaction, the listing agent's like, this was the best experience. I've really never had the mortgage person communicate with me this much. But I mean, if you're willing to do this with the listing agent, I can only imagine how good you are with the actual buyers. So,
Right.
it opens up doors that way. Maybe it's a big listing person and they don't do buyers anymore. They usually will have a team. They'll have
Oh,
other
yeah.
agents on their team that work with the buyers. So it's a great introduction to that. And yeah, that would be
Great
my one big
recommendation.
piece of advice: call the listing agent.
Thank you so much, Glenn. It's so true because a lot of times we don't take the time. And like you said, we're so busy with the daily
Yeah.
activities. But those are amazing tips. Thank you for sharing them. I do that all the time. And even through the nowadays with the negotiation, I don't know how Florida is, but California, again, we're into the multiple offers again. So as soon as the offer gets submitted, I get on the phone and I call the listing agent and say, hey, just so you know, I am the lender. Whatever you need from me, I'm here to answer any
Yeah.
questions. And you don't know how many times we get the response as, oh,
Yep.
I never get a call from the lender.
Yep.
Typically they're too busy. And I'm like, no, I'm here. If you have any questions, you or your seller, as you're presenting the offers, I'm here to answer any questions you might have. And it makes a huge difference
It
for
does.
your partner that you're available and you're ready to answer any questions rather than calling you, you're calling them. So again,
Yep.
another little piece of advice. I don't know what Florida market looks like today, but that's what we're doing here, and it really, really makes a huge. I got two offers accepted just yesterday because again, those little things that we do to make you, you know,
Oh yeah.
yourself apart from everybody else. So time blocking, it seems like you do have it pretty much down. You said from 10 to 12, you have your dial-in time when you make your phone calls.
Correct. Yeah. 10 to 12 is always dial time. Um, the afternoons are a bit more fluid. I have time, if I need to give attention to any clients that maybe have a squeaky wheel or need some extra help.
Yeah,
It's also the time where I'll speak with new new people that have been referred, so we can start that process of getting them pre-approved.
yeah,
But I think mornings to lunch are pretty set. And when I was in the Corps, I, I had I had a huge challenge with sticking with the time block. Like I would say, oh, I'm going to call from 10 to 12, but then an agent would call and say, hey, the roof is not good, so we need to make changes to the contract. And whatever the case may be, I would just say, oh, can't make calls, I need to focus on this. But it was the Core that really taught me, turn off your notifications on your phone, close the door, and let people know that this is the time I'm super focused during the day. Um, you know, Interrupt only if it's like an emergency.
yeah, emergency.
And yeah,
And it's so
it's just like
interesting.
anything.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how a lot of times we think we need to handle it right there, but then as you time block and as you realize that can wait, an hour or two is not going to make a difference. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to die. Nobody's going to die. Typically in our transactions, like you said, it's either repairs, a condition that needs to be
Yep.
revised, something else that's needed, but it usually can wait. But we just get ourselves so caught up into the moment of we need to answer right now because they send a text or they send that email. Interesting. But thank you for sharing. It's so rewarding to know that it's not just me. We all deal with this situation.
Oh, I've definitely learned we all deal with the same thing, even beyond just real estate and mortgages. I think life in general. Um, I'm a very open person, so with
Mhm.
people, I share a lot. And what I've come to learn is, we all have the same struggles. It's just the details may not be
It's a
exactly
little
the
bit
same, but
exactly.
emotions are the same. Most of us have the same fears, the same challenges. And
Absolutely.
it's
Part of
nice
life.
to know you're not alone. um
Yeah. And we're all dealing with the same type of issues sometimes, right?
yes,
So
yes.
let me ask you again, you mentioned family, you mentioned wife, you mentioned kids. How do you balance and how do you separate and say, okay, so today I'm going to concentrate and be some of the things that I'm practicing nowadays, and I'll share this with you, but I want to hear your perspective is being present. A lot of times, again, our business, we run out of this thing so much that sometimes we're with the family, we're still answering and I'm practicing being present, practicing, that if I'm at home, I want to be present with my kids. If I'm with friends, I want to be present. Again, it's not easy as always, but, working on it and trying to make sure that I, again, block it. Said, okay, we're at dinner. I'm going to put my phone in my purse. If I don't see it, like you said, notifications are off. I'm not going to worry about it until I'm done. What do you
Yep.
do to try to keep that balance and being a dad and still, take care of your business partners and run your business? How do you balance work and family life?
I will admit that has been a challenge for a while. But recently, what I've been doing is, this sounds silly, but time blocking. I think you said you do that as well. You got to time block the family time, because if you follow your calendar,
For business,
religiously, then you kind of have to follow the family time block as well.
right?
So I've started doing that. That's been helpful. I think overall, it's just being more aware that you're not being present. Um, and my wife, and actually, I got a picture from the school today with my 4 year old sitting like in the corner with a toy laptop, and I guess the teacher said, "Oh, she took the laptop," and she says she's working like daddy. Uh, so I'm like, oh, so that's what she
That's
sees me as,
the
like,
image they have, right? It's so funny.
yeah, I'm just always on the phone or I'm on the laptop. So it is something I'm working on. I think what's helped most recently is just being aware.
Right.
I may be home, but like you said, those notifications, a lot of them can wait till tomorrow. None of them are as urgent as we make them out to be. And I know this because the years of responding as quickly as possible, I'd always get the response, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to hear back from you until maybe tomorrow." And it's like, "Oh, okay." So after lots of those, you start to realize, okay, nobody really anticipates you calling them right back. Um,
But
but
we
yeah,
think we need to do it. But we think we need to respond as soon as we see that email, right?
right, right.
But thank you for
So
sharing.
yeah, time blocking and then just being mindful. I mean, if I'll be there watching a movie with the kids and I'll be on my phone and I'll realize, wait, that's not what we're doing right now, and
Right,
just put it away.
right. That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable because that is so true. I'm guilty of it sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, I forget. And I turn it on and I'm like, okay, now I can be present and
Yes.
becoming aware. One of the things that I've learned, and this is from Joe Dispenza, he says it's not about not doing it, but becoming aware that you're doing it and how quickly can you get out of it. Now I know
Yes.
that I'm not being present, so let me fix it. Put that phone away, or just focus. Whoever it is that you're with, and be more present. People, will be so impressed when you really pay attention and you really are 100% with them rather than being somewhere else. Question: what keeps Glenn going? What is the one thing that keeps him motivated? It keeps him going because I know we all get at one point a little bit burned out, or just get caught up in the day to day. What keeps you moving forward and keeps you motivated?
Um, Definitely, and this would also be advice. You need to figure out and write down your detailed why. Like, why do you wake up every day, and why do you do what you do? What is that going to bring you, or what is it that you hope it will bring you? And for me, it's all focused on family. It's being able to get to a place where I don't have to be aware of whether or not I'm being present, because I'm fully present all the time. I get to spend that time with family. We get to enjoy nice vacations. We have dreams of moving out of Florida, maybe to a cooler area someday.
Hmm.
But the why is just, I want to be the best provider for my family. I want to inspire others to want that as well, to really cherish the time that you get to have, because in my case, losing a child is not as common, but children grow up, and then they go to college or they move out, and all I kept hearing when we were starting to have kids was, older parents or other people that have parented would say, cherish this time, because blink of an eye, it'll be gone. And I've really, my wife and I both have really taken that to heart.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, we had 5 years and 2 months, but looking back, we did so much. We did almost a lifetime of experiences and memories,
Awesome.
which I'm so grateful for that we were able to do that. And yeah, that's
And that
kind
goes
of what.
back and that goes back to our business. I feel like we're so blessed to be able to have a business that allows you to have so much flexibility that if you build it
Yes.
properly, and again, I am a mom, I have three, and you touch on something very important in seasons of life. I call it seasons of life because we all have seasons of life. Like when they're little, they need you in a different way. As they get older, they need you in a different way. I have a college, one going into college, one into going to high school, and it's just so interesting looking back nowadays, as you're saying, when they're little, they need you more because they don't know how to do a lot of things by themselves. So they need your help in that sense. About that season of life, they need you more physically. And as they get older, now they need you more emotionally, just to help them guide them through whatever,
Yep.
challenges come their way. It's so beautiful. I get text from my college son, Mom, I love you. I'm thinking of you this morning. So and so a question.
Oh,
And it's beautiful, because again, you get to build that with your kids and they'll come to you. They will reach
yeah.
out to you in a different way. So I definitely so glad that we're in the business that we're in where we get to again have a flexibility that if you need to pick up and go, you get to do that. When you work in a corporate world where you 8 to 5 and you have to ask in advance for you to be able to take the morning off. In our business we get to, if we need to, we can leave if we have
Oh
to.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's
I
been
love
awesome participating in my daughter's school activities. They tend to always hold them like during the day,
absolutely.
um, and
I used to be
it's
I used to be the room mom all the time with the kids were little, soccer mom, team manager. It was, and again, I loved it because again, this business has given me the opportunity to be able to be again
yes,
more involved. And again, for me, that's my why. And seasons, I always go back to my seasons. I'm like, now I have more time. Now I get to do other things because the kids are a little older. So enjoy them definitely. And like you said, you've done it so far. So I'll just encourage you to keep on it because they will remember. And even though when you said you're on your laptop and doing stuff, they'll remember you were there with them,
yeah,
watching their games or being at school when they had a play or whatever the case might be. But it's amazing to have the opportunity and also I feel like in our business we have the opportunity to build our freedom in terms of investments. What is your take on this? Because I know we're in the real estate business, right? Mortgages, realtors. We get exposed to so many opportunities. And I don't know what
yes.
is your take on investing and just creating a passive income flow and all of that.
Oh, that should be everybody's prime goal in life, and these would be concepts from the Rich Dad Poor Dad. So yeah, you know, buying assets and really knowing the difference. I love Rob Kiyosaki's description. It's just so simplified. If it's an asset, it's putting money in your pocket every month, and if it's a liability, it's taking money out.
Got it. Yeah.
So we don't currently have any investment properties, but the goal right now would be if we do decide to leave Florida or move from where we currently are, we're going to do everything we can to keep the home to convert it into
Investment.
a rental property, and then a lot of doors open once you start doing that. Um,
And I always tell my realtors and my lender, my loan officers, I have a team, and I say, you know what? If an opportunity shows up, you're the first one to know. So why not take advantage of it? Like
yeah.
I love the opportunity to just start creating, again, a freedom channel because we will need. There's only so much we can do in terms of working. We need to start thinking of investing and creating that passive income where you don't have to work and you're still making
Yes.
money. So definitely, thank you for
Oh
sharing
yes.
that. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience? It's been great. Again, we just kind of went through it. Look, and the time flew. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
When you're having
Um,
fun, right? When you're having fun, time just flies.
Yeah, yeah. No, this was awesome. So thank you again. Um,
Any
I guess
follow-up thoughts you would like to
any
share with
final
us?
thoughts would be, you know, mortgages, selling mortgages, being an LO. It's like anything else, and it sounds so cliche now that I'm about to say it, but you get in what you put, or you get out what you put
Put
in.
in. Yes.
So there,
Absolutely.
like you mentioned, there is a lot of flexibility, and I may be guilty of it from time to time, where you're leaning too much on the flexibility, and then that results in the next month. You're starting to struggle, and now you're scrambling to try to find that extra deal because you
Took
you
too much
used your
time off.
flex time. You used your flex time a little too much last month.
Right.
But yeah, having that schedule, sticking with it, and just doing the work.
Doing the
And the
work.
work is the networking. The
Yes.
work is picking up the phone call and calling agents, calling referral partners, just building relationships.
Yeah.
Um, when I got started, uh, my my mentor at the startup mortgage company, I mean, I came on board and I said, I don't know anything. Like, I worked in mortgages, but it was a mailroom and then it was a sales call center. So, like, selling an actual mortgage and going through that process, I really had no clue. I had no relationships. So he came up with a brilliant idea and he said, I'm going to pay you a salary the first month. And what I want you to do is just get a realtor list, go to different chamber events, local networking groups, and I want you to have 4 one-to-one meetings. Like, that's what your salary is going to be about. You scheduling 4 meetings every day to meet with people that could potentially refer business to you. And coming right from the corporate world, I thought, well, if I'm going to get a salary, I better do my job.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that made a huge difference, just not only creating those relationships, but really looking back now, it really built my brand in my community, because I mean, people just knew, like, oh, Glenn, yep, he's the mortgage guy, and he's at all the meetings, and he's always at the ribbon cuttings. So it was good for the relationships, but I think what I didn't know at the time, but I know now, is it was also good for just creating a brand for myself, and creating just something that people see all the time. It's like I'm just a free commercial or advertisement,
Right.
so when they see
Yes.
me, they know mortgage. Oh, I have a cousin who's trying to move to Florida.
Yeah.
So
And being you, I always feel like a lot of times we get into this thing and sometimes we think we need to act a certain way. We have to become this other person. It's like, for me, it's always been be you, be yourself,
yes.
be your authentic self. Don't try to change because people will relate to you more when you're truly being yourself. And they like to do business with that person. I have one of my loan officers used to work with B of A, and she would always said, "Oh, it's a brand," and I'm like, "Well, the brand is yourself. People are gonna do
Yeah.
business with Glen, not the company he's with. Obviously, that's important that you have the service and the products that you're gonna need to offer your clients, but at the end, they're doing business because of you. So as
Yes.
long as we can continue to become better and work on ourselves and always trying to improve, I think people will be more impressed with dealing with the human of person that they're working with rather than the name of the brand that they're representing. So thank you so much. It was amazing. Love
Yeah.
that conversation. Love what this took us. And you're definitely someone that I will keep an eye on, and I'm gonna keep following you. It's beautiful to see someone like you being able to accomplish so much, and thank you for being a role model for so many people. So thank you again.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely, it was my
we'll
pleasure.
see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Level Up Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, you can leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Until next time, we hope you level up.